What's up, everybody? So I'm going to change out some strings today on my DeLuca custom bass, a little 4-stringer here. I'm going to show you how I go about doing that. First of all, with the gauge of strings I use, I buy my strings in bulk. Okay, I don't go and buy any name brand strings because they cost too much, and I tend to go through strings a lot. So I tend to buy mine in bulk. I buy it from a website called juststrings.com. They come in a long straight plastic bag like this, and usually come six in a bag. So the first string I usually buy, or the G string, is a 40, and this NR right here stands for nickel. That means it's a nickel string. Nickel is bright, but less bright than the stainless steel. So you have two types for round wounds. You have nickel, and then you have stainless steel. Stainless steel is really bright, and a little too bright for me, so I tend to go with the nickels. So this 40 right here is my G string, so I'm going to use that. Excuse my workbench, it's a little messy. And let's see, this 105, that's the E string, and see, this pack's never been opened, so you can see there's 6 strings in there, 6 E strings. Okay, so that's the 105. Okay, next one I use is the 80, and that's the A string. This is a new pack too, so there's 6 in there. Okay, and then this last one here for the 4-string is a 65, which is the D string, and there's 6 of them in there too. Now when I do my 5-string basses, I use a 125. So order those in bulk too. You see that right there, 125 nickel. Okay, and that's what I put on for the B string on my 5-string basses. Okay, so that's what I use there. Now when you want to go ahead and disassemble the bass, or not the bass but the strings, I use a pair of wire cutters. Okay, so what I do is I loosen up the string first. So we'll start with the E string. Oh, by the way, you can see the way the strings are wound in there first. They go to the inside and round and go around this way. Same with that. You don't want the strings coming on the outside when you put them back on. They have to go on the inside of the tuning pegs, just like that. Okay? So keep that in mind for later. So I go ahead and loosen it up. And see how it's all wound tight like that? Now we have to pull, at least on this bass, I have it strung through the body. So we have to pull this string through the body, and I don't want to have to unwind this thing. So that's where this comes in. I just cut it like that. Set that aside. Do the same thing for the A string. Yeah, pops off. Cut it. D, same thing. Now cut it off. As soon as it gets loose enough, you can just pop it off. You don't have to sit there and try to unwind the whole thing, or you can just cut it and just pull it off like that, if you're impatient like me. So you go ahead, pop the string, last one here, the G string, get it loose, cut, bam, off. Okay, so put the cutters down. Okay, now what you can do is flip the bass on its side like that and just feed the string through. You can see right there that I'm feeding it through, pulling it through like that. I'll clean up my mess later. Okay, so the strings are out now. This bass is dirty. Look at my fretboard. Holy smokes. So I'll usually wipe it down a little bit, spray some stuff on it, and wipe it down. Get all the grime and the sweat, what I call the gig funk. Get all that off of there. Okay, so you just want to go ahead and wipe that down. You check in your parts too, your pickups. Make sure everything's still in place, nothing's loose. If anything's loose, you tighten it up. This is a time too where you check your knobs. Make sure your knobs are still tight, nothing's loose. Okay. Go through and just wipe it down. Okay. Because when the strings are on there, it's hard to get the stuff. Now this is what they call the bridge right here. You have to make sure that that's in a good spot too. It's a little dirty. I'm just gonna kind of blow it out a little bit. I'm not gonna totally clean it up, just for the sake of this video. Gotta leave some funk in it. I'm gonna wipe off the fretboard a little bit too. Yeah. This is some months worth of built up right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue cleaning this this guitar up. I'm gonna stop the video, that's what I meant to say, and then I'm gonna come back when I start stringing it up again. We'll resume then, because you don't need to see me sit here and clean my neck all damn day. So I will be right back. Pause the tape. Alright, I'm back. I wiped it down a little bit. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the first string in there. I always start, at least I do, I always start with the G string. So you can see I'm feeding it through the body. And I'm coming up through the bridge. Okay. And then lay it out. And I pull it, make sure I got all the slack out. Then what I do, see the string is long. I don't need all this when I'm gonna string it up. So what I usually do, my rule of thumb is I go to the top, at least with this string right here, the G string, and then I cut it about right here. Okay? So I end up cutting off about 3 inches. Okay? And what you want to do is you want to feed it, the string into the tuner. There's a little hole in the middle. Okay? And then what you want to do is you want to wrap it like that. And what I do is I wrap it until all the slack is gone. See, I messed up. I had it good. Let's see what happened here. See if I can get it back. Okay, I got it back. So I usually wrap it like that. Then I keep it tight with my right hand and I start twisting with my left hand. Now notice that I'm on the inside of the tuning peg like I told you before. And what you want to do is you want to wrap it, start tightening it up. Let me squeeze that in a little bit. Okay. You can see down there that the string is going to start tightening up in a minute. And you want to make sure you have enough slack in there, because if you don't cut the string long enough, the string has a chance to pop off, or it won't tune correctly. It'll probably pop out of tune more. Okay, so I want to make sure I have enough slack in it. Okay, so now it's tightening up. See that? Okay. So what I usually do, I'll put some tension on it, but I won't tighten it up all the way. Just enough to get it started. Okay. So that's the G string right there. Okay. And I just so happen to have my other strings here on the floor. Some that I've used before. I mean, a pack that I'd open. So I want to make sure I use these up. So this one here is the 80. So I don't want to do that one yet. This one's a 65, it should be. Yeah. So this is the D string right here. I want to go ahead and do this one next. Okay. pull it out of the bag, set it aside, feed it through the back. Now some bases, they'll feed, the strings will feed from the bridge side, from over here. This depends on what kind of setup you have. Okay, tighten it up. Now this one is a longer string, so I'm gonna go probably to right here. Okay. Then I'm gonna pop it in there. Same thing. Spin it around. And then start tightening. Just like that. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Don't fully tighten them up yet, because you want to add the other strings to it too. So okay, y'all, I'm back. I went ahead and put the A string on there. Okay, so the last one I'm going to put on is the 105, which is the E string. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and string it around the back like I showed you guys on the other two. Pull it up through the saddles there, through the bridge. Now this string is going to be the thickest one, of course, so it's going to be the hardest one, at least for me sometimes, to get wrapped. So I usually cut it similar to what I do with the G string, somewhere up here. Actually a little bit more, yeah, maybe right there. Okay, so something like that. Then put it in the hole, y'all. Put it in the hole. Wrap it. This one you gotta be, I usually don't try to wrap it too much manually. I'll start tightening it up like that. Get it going. Get the slack out. Okay, so it's coming together nice. Okay. So now I got all four on there. Now they're not in tune, you can hear. Now what I do, because I don't want to be, unless I'm in an emergency situation where I need to put this thing in tune right away, I usually over tighten these and let it sit for a day or two before I tune it. Okay, so with this bass, I don't plan on using it. I used it last night, so I'm not going to use it tonight. I'm going to use a different bass, so I don't have to worry about it being in tune right away. So what I usually do is I over tighten these a lot tighter than they need to be. So that's a lot tighter than it usually is. Okay. Then I'm going to let it sit for a day or so and kind of marinate. And then after a day or so, I'll put it in tune, and then it'll stay in tune from then on out. It won't, you know, pop out of tune on you. So I just do that, and it's all done. That's how you set up the strings on it. Now, a little more advanced thing that you need to learn how to do, but that's for another video for a later time, is do what they call a setup, where you want to make sure that your neck is straight. Okay, you want to make sure your string height from the fretboard to the string itself is the right height for you, and you don't want it too low or too high. So that's where these saddles on the bridge come in handy. Okay, the saddles do two things. They do the intonation of the string, and they do the string height. These little Allen screws here, I don't know if you can see them right there. Let me get this little thing here. The screws right here adjust the height. They adjust the string height. That's why you'll see on your bass that some of them are higher than others, or maybe at a different angle, but these adjust the string height. Now, there's some screws. See these springs right here? Right there? What these do is move these saddles back and forth like that. And what that does, that adjusts what they call the intonation. Okay? For my bridge, the screws are back here, and you tighten them, and that moves the saddles left or right like that. Okay? Now, the intonation is making sure that the string, that the notes, so like you got the open G, right? It's not a G now, but if I hit the open G, and when I hit the 12th fret, it should be the same. If I hit the 24, it should be the same. See? So that's the same note. It's not a G because it's out of tune, but it is, the intonation's right. Same with the D string. See that? Okay, so that's what that is. These are all part of the process called setup. Okay, inside the neck there's a rod. Okay, and it's called a truss rod. Truss. That's what it's called. And in mine, it's probably down here behind this plate. You take this plate off, and there's usually an Allen head screw down there. You twist that, and that straightens your neck. So if your neck's bowed like this or concave, you turn that screw, it flattens it out. Okay, and that's a whole, like I said, that's a whole nother subject, is how to set up basses. There's a bunch of good videos out on YouTube on how to do it, but this is one of the things when you look for a bass. When you want to buy a bass, you want to make sure that the neck is straight, the string height is where you want it to be, that kind of thing. And if it's not, if you have a decent enough bass, somebody or yourself or somebody can set it up for you. And usually they don't charge more than 20-30 bucks to get it all set up for you. So that is the video on tuning a bass. Okay, now just remember, if you had the 5-string, you'd add the 125. You know, you do the thing on the B string. If you had a 6-string, you would do the same thing for the extra strings that you need for that. So hopefully this video is helpful. Like I said, this is the way I do it. Everybody does it different, but this is a kind of a basic tutorial on it. So I'll catch y'all later. Peace.